What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and today I want to talk about some Reddit posts. Yes, more Reddit posts. We know that all along the process for the rise of Skywalker, Reddit leaks played a big part, and so many of them turned out to be absolutely spot on. So in some ways more detailed than the movie itself in some cases, but I want to talk about this. I am on DisneyStarWarsIsDumb.com. That is where I saw this first. Ichibaka tweeted about it, and I followed it through, and I wanted to make a video about it for tomorrow. Purported Lucasfilm insider dishes on the production on Reddit. So we are going to be talking about this and another article. This might be a little bit of a longer video. And then this one, Disney reportedly wants Kathleen Kennedy gone after Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker Backlash. Now this is from We Got This Covered. Again, always take We Got This Covered and really any news with a grain of salt. Up front, these are all complete rumors, unverified. They're posts on Reddit. So they're just as likely to be someone make it up as it is someone real. But what this person says makes a lot of sense as to all the issues with production of The Rise of Skywalker and what's going on, the drama behind the scenes, be it changing directors, the rumor about bringing George Lucas in, things like that. So, and what Ichibaka did, he basically just posted these screenshots from Reddit and shared it around. So thank you to him. Make sure you guys are following him on Twitter and check out his website. But this is from the Lucasfilm Insider. This is going to be a lot of reading, so just bear with me. But I do think it's pretty important. After Colin had left the project, so this is what he knows about Rise of Skywalker production, TROS. After Colin left the project, Rian Johnson was immediately Lucasfilm's top choice to take over. However, Bob Iger and Alan Horn weren't impressed with Last Jedi and thought it was a step down from TFA. This prompted Iger to personally offer Abrams the gig. JJ was not a fan of The Last Jedi. Actually, that's putting it gently. He absolutely loathed TLJ and has some serious beef with Rian Johnson. And I think that is pretty evident in his responses to what he thinks about The Last Jedi, in the movie that he made, and how there's several instances where he, whether it's retconning or whether it's just dismissing a lot of ideas that were presented in The Last Jedi, I think it's pretty clear how JJ feels about Rian Johnson's movie, at least. Not necessarily about him, but at least about his movie. He only came back if he could have complete creative control and wouldn't have to compromise with Kennedy or the Lucasfilm Story Group. JJ's first move was to consult with George Lucas on the story for Episode 9, and I think that is, if that's true, that is a great idea. Great idea. They came up with a story that had strong connections to the Clone Wars TV show, which featured the Dagger of Mortis and Matt Smith as the son of Mortis, who would have been the film's antagonist. Now, if you're not familiar with that storyline, it was the Clone Wars cartoon. George was heavily involved in that portion, and it's when the Clone Wars were going on, the TV show, George wasn't as involved with everything as everyone would like him to be, right? You have this image of him and Dave Filoni working hand in hand on the TCW TV series. That's not necessarily true. George was involved for sure, but he wasn't overseeing every episode like people like to think. This one, though, the Mortis story arc, the 3-episode arc that is very randomly placed in the middle of a season, George was heavily involved in. Now, I can see where they were going with this and how that would be interesting, and maybe that's where this whole dagger thing originally came from. But let's read on. The story also used many elements of Lucas's unused sequel trilogy treatments. Disney really wanted this movie to be another Force Awakens in the sense it would unite all fans, at least initially. After Solo's flop at the box office, TLJ backlash, and decline in Star Wars merch, it was paramount for Disney that Episode 9 be a success with fans. They didn't want another TLJ. And again, I'm not saying this is true, but it does make sense when you think about it. It makes sense that this could be the case. The film's direction radically changed during around midway of principal photography. JJ told Disney execs this film wouldn't satisfy and unite all fans. This is where the studio meddling began, which led to the second abandonment of George Lucas's ideas. So not only did they discard his ideas for the sequel trilogy itself, initially, the ones he gave him in 2012, but again, when he got asked to come back in and do it, they discarded that stuff. Would explain a lot why he wasn't at the premiere. Would explain a lot about that. Nearly every story detail from the initial script was either abandoned or bastardized. Palpatine was always supposed to have a presence in this film, but not alive or as the main villain. The main villain was to be the son of Mortis. Disney feared the general audience would be alienated as they don't know who the son of Mortis was and would make the movie harder to market. That led to them replacing the son with Palpatine, and Matt Smith completely removed from the movie. And we heard things about Matt Smith being involved in this movie. I remember rumors about that leading up like a year ago. Disney ordered extensive reshoots that went on throughout the year leading up to early October, just like we heard, just like hashtag Doomcock was right. Yes, J.J. Abrams was not happy with many of the changes that Disney made to The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know the specifics, but let's just say he isn't at all pleased with the final product. Essentially, the majority of the film was reshot and reconfigured, at the same time leaving a ton of important scenes on the cutting room floor. I don't have any more details on the making of The Rise of Skywalker other than that, but I hope this post gets people with better sources to give out more details, and that may happen. That'd be great. And again, so much of this lines up with what we've heard and what we've seen and the final product that we got. Again, I think that's there's a big section of the fan base that really like this film. I, for one, don't get that. If you like it, that's great. To me, it is a complete mess. I don't know if there's anything they could have done that would have saved the sequel trilogy, in my opinion. But for this to be the finishing step, yeah, I think it's really, really rough. I think it's really bad. And a terrible sour taste in my mouth at the end of the sequel trilogy, but that's not unexpected. Again, there may be some. Just that being said, there may be some spoilers moving forward for Rise of Skywalker as we move through these. I don't think anything too major, but just a warning to people. He also answered some questions, and before I get to that, I talked about how very randomly we got an announcement that the art for The Rise of Skywalker was going to be delayed 4 months. The art for the making of The Rise of Skywalker with a bunch of images from the making of the film itself and a bunch of art and things like that was delayed, pushed back randomly like 4 months. That could also be one of the reasons, because that book may have been full of art and photography and things like that from a movie that didn't get made in any way, shape, or form. And they may have wanted to remove that. And they had to replace it with other stuff that didn't get done until very late in the game. So maybe that's another connecting point. We can connect the dots here. He also answered he or she also answered some questions. I heard JJ and Ryan did not get along at all. JJ and Trevorrow did. Ryan and Trevorrow didn't like each other. Lots of production issues on this trilogy. The Lucasfilm insider, quote unquote, answers, that's true, and JJ's original outline had Luke survive until 9, with 9 being the film where Luke dies, which I think would make a lot of sense to us all. That wouldn't have subverted anyone's expectations. This is something that Colin was fighting hard to keep, but Ryan, KK, and Kiri Hart wanted Luke dead in TLJ. I also know for a fact that Lucasfilm Story Group hates George Lucas, J.J. Abrams, and Colin Trevorrow. They only like Ryan. That is really interesting. We'll say the Story Group seems to be not involved at all in this trilogy, to be honest, with all the different retcons, all the different issues with previously established canon. I can't imagine the Story Group's that involved, because it's, as much as I dislike Pablo Hidalgo, I think the guy knows he knows his lore. He does. He just does. So for there to just be blatant ignorance on some of these things is really telling. It tells me they weren't really involved. Another thing, this is for the original poster. There's been talk about a different cut of the movie, like 3 different cuts. So the Doomcock rumors. People are saying there exists a Lucas cut or a J.J. Abrams cut. What is your response? Again, they were filming until 2018 was the version of Episode 7 that J.J. and Terrio wrote based on a story that J.J. and George came up with. Again, talks about how he went to George and asked him. Let's call that the JJ/Lucas cut. Disney was not impressed and feared it could be another TLJ. They ordered to completely change it. That's why this film had a ton of reshoots. The film in theaters now is the Iger cut, which is Disney completely changing the initial film into what they thought would be the most profitable version of it. There's only 2 versions of the film, however. There are numerous different versions of the climax. Some are just slight variations from each other, and others are just completely different. However, I seriously doubt the J.J. Lucas cut is anywhere close to being finished. And that does make sense. We did hear that there was a big change in early 2018. One more thing. And this goes into the article that we're about to briefly cover. We're close to being done, guys. I want to give this the time it deserves so you guys can process this. Was that other guy from Lucasfilm right about the future that posted here saying Old Republic is next, like I said in a video about a week ago, and KK will be fired? KK leaving is definitely a sure thing at this point. It might be fast-tracked depending on TRO's box office. And I know Rian Johnson's trilogy was canned ages ago. As of right now, I expect in January for them to announce Ryan's departure firing. I wouldn't expect them to announce he's fired. I would basically just expect them to announce what the future holds and that Ryan's not involved. But that's just me speculating. I don't know anything about the Old Republic being next, though, but my personal speculation is that if that's the case, it'll be Feige's movie/movies. And again, I made a video. I'll link it up here in the cards. Basically, why I think Knights of the Old Republic is next, because they have nowhere else to go. And also in The Rise of Skywalker, we got several Dark Lords of the Sith from the expanded universe canonized in a visual encyclopedia, including Revan. So take a look at that video if you get a chance. But right here, Disney reportedly wants Kathleen Kennedy gone after Star Wars Rise of Skywalker Backlash. These are some crazy pictures over here. We got this covered. Ads are always freaking me out, man. All right. As the current president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, huge amount of power, blah, 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 of course. Of course, Kennedy has often said she loves hearing criticism when it comes to the studio's recent output, but a huge level of filmmaker turnover and backlash from the fan base can't go unnoticed. And we've heard that she's maybe on her way out. Sources close to, we got this covered, the same ones who said, these are just spoilers, they're unrevealed, that blank would die in Rise of Skywalker and that blank would be revealed as a traitor, both of which were true, have told us Disney wants Kathleen Kennedy gone from Lucasfilm, and why it's not yet set in stone that she's on her way out the door. From what we've been told, there's a 95% chance she won't be at the company much longer. And I think a lot of us, we got our expectations subverted in 2018 or whatever that was when it got announced that she got an extension. But I think that a lot of people are seeing, especially with this film tracking to make about just a little over $1 billion, definitely a disappointment for Disney in the box office that I don't think she's going to be there much longer. Whether they straight out fire her, that would be kind of shocking, but it does go out to explain right here. As for those who would replace her, that remains unclear, but what we've heard, it could be another woman, and so the studio isn't accused of mistreating women in power. And Michelle Rejwan has been out there in public, very publicly, with Kathleen Kennedy, with J.J. Abrams, promoting this film. She was a producer on The Rise of Skywalker. She has kind of been the person that's set up to be the next Kathleen Kennedy. So I would watch out for Michelle Rejwan. We've heard that name for a long time. But again, we weren't given any names in regards to who may be stepping in once Kennedy's gone. Seeing as intel comes from the same sources who told us all these spoilers that turned out to be true, we have no reason to doubt it. And then they go in to talk about it wouldn't be a surprise if she stayed on and just departed at the end of her contract, but wasn't involved with the new movies. I wouldn't be surprised with that either. It would be a big PR thing for them to fire her. Same reason that I would be surprised if they came out and announced that Rian Johnson was just fired, because that would just stir up so much stuff on both sides. So I could see them not necessarily announcing that someone's fired, making it a different thing, just kind of ignoring the Rian Johnson thing, saying that we're going a different way, but not straight out firing him. Same thing with Kathleen Kennedy. Have her just retire or something like that, not a public firing, and then someone else like Michelle Rejwan could be put in that place. Honestly, I think a lot of other people would have other ideas. A lot of people are totally on board with Jon Favreau after what he's been doing with The Mandalorian, things like that. But that's the rumors. That is the rumors. Again, I said it at the beginning, I'll say it at the end. These are all rumors. It's just a person on Reddit. It could be anyone. But with what they're saying makes a lot of sense with other things we've heard through leaks, whether it be through Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, Doomcock. They do have their sources who have proven to be very accurate. Been proven to be very accurate. So these things all kind of line up. I know that might have been a little boring. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this video really, but I thought it was interesting. I want to make sure that I covered it. Itchy Baka, great job with the heads up. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for letting me know. But what do you guys think? Do you buy these Reddit spoilers or these Reddit leaks? Do you think this guy or girl is actually at Lucasfilm, and do you think that is what's going on behind the scenes? It makes a lot of sense to me. I honestly do believe it. Whether it's true definitely remains to be seen, but to me, it feels right. But what do you guys think? I want to hear from you. Do you think this is true? Do you think that all of this stuff did happen behind the scenes? The George Lucas stuff, do you think he was really insulted that way again? Maybe that's why he wasn't at the premiere, whether he wasn't invited or just decided not to show up. It would kind of make sense. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, share this video, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.